The parishes of Kingston, Clarendon, and St. Catherine lie at the foot of the pinnacle of pinnacles, from shore to shore. The man
Gangunguru Maharaj is his name.
Delivered to the world the only major religion of the century. In a 10-day coronation, personally attended by the heads of 72 nations, Rastafari was crowned emperor under the name of Haile Selassie I, which means Power of the Trinity, and given the extraordinary titles of King of Kings, Lord of Lords, Conquering Lion of the tribe of Judah.
And here he comes, the legend in person. One of the world's best-known figures and faces, and one that most of us know least about. Father figure of modern Africa and relic of a vanishing world, feudal despot and reforming monarch, one of the last claimants to the divine right of kings, the legendary descendant of King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba. His Imperial Majesty, Haile Selassie I, conquering lion of the tribe of Judah, elect of God, King of Kings, Emperor of Ethiopia.
The King of England, George V, had his son, then a duke, deliver to the crowned emperor, Haile Selassie, the Ethiopian royal scepter, which had been stolen from Ethiopia many years before and displayed in English museums. Howell obtained what was referred to as the Prince of Peace photograph of Selassie and began to duplicate and distribute it amongst the people. As it regards the content of his sermons, a police officer, Leonard Thomas, testified about one of his early sermons in St. Thomas on April 18, 1933, and it began.
The Lion of Judah has broken the chain, and we, the black race, are finally free. George V is no longer our king. George V sent his third son down to Africa to bow down to our new king, Rastafari. Rastafari is the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. The black people will no longer look to George V. Rastafari is their king.
They came under numerous attacks from the police, from the colonial system, and also from citizens who didn't understand what it means when Leonard Howell was preaching about the black Messiah, the black God, the kingdom of Ethiopia, the kingdom of Africa. And so many of them could have been, many of our own citizens could have been brainwashed to feel that the Rastafarians were enemies of them, and consequently they too would help in attacking our brothers and sisters.
Time passed and Howell continued preaching. He eventually was charged repeatedly with sedition and would end up in state jails repeatedly as well.
And of course, being a lawyer also, you would read and hear of the amount of times he was charged for, sedition, treason, all sort of things that you said, wait, this man must have been a thorn to the colonial system. So hearing all of that now sort of awaken your spirit even more to search and understand Leonard Howell.
Howell called the church corrupt and told the mass that the priests were thieves. He taunted the police to lock him up, and he publicly referred to them as jackasses. Using Garvey's technique to combat fear, he would preach, "When you are afraid of something, walk straight towards it." In short, his sermons were perceived by the state as high treason. They fought to suppress his public meetings and preaching for years and searched for him wherever he went. Howell plotted while behind the bars of the Bellevue Asylum to escape the clutches of politicians and to create a new state, far away from Babylon. It is said that the sale of fine pearls Howells had acquired on his travels financed the purchase of Pinnacle. In April 1939, Albert Chang purchased Pinnacle. But why did he? Water here was only available for a few months each year, and the land was barren. There were few fertile areas and no roads. At the time, it was too far from Spanish Town to make a practical housing enterprise. All Pinnacle had to offer were fruit trees, bat manure, and an abundance of gravel. Surely, though, his decision to purchase the land was calculated. Yes, Mr. Albert Chang's risk was minimal. The land cost him £900. The arrangement was as follows. Howell paid Albert Chang £800 down payment. He was to have paid him a remaining £400. Chang also would benefit as his bogwalk store likely provided basic goods such as rice. He also purchased the produce of the Rastafarians for resale, mostly yams and fruit. As Pinnacle continued to assume its reputation as a safe haven and a heaven on earth for the black man, the police launched repeated raids on the Howellites, even though they isolated themselves in the hills, far away from Babylon. There were raids by hired gangsters and the police. Howellites were beaten with batons, their hair cut off, and their women abused. Guns on hand, on many different occasions, the people were scattered from their lands and their homes burnt to the ground.
I stood in court already in the 1980s. I wasn't even representing anyone. I was in court at Spanish Town, and I heard Edgar Reed tell the judge, "Judge, Mr. Howell's land is from shore to shore." And the judge said, "What do you mean?" And he said, "Mr. Howell's land is from sea to sea." And the judge said, "Am I sitting on Mr. Howell's land?" And he said, "Oh yes, Judge." There was a good amount of land that these people, followers of Leonard Howell, were confident. Edgar Reed told me that he himself used to pay the taxes to the land. And he brought papers to the court at Spanish Town in the 1980s when I was there. But a lot of those have been burnt up now.
Things soon changed somewhat. When Sir Leonard returned to Pinnacle in 1944, he became the biggest ganja planter in modern Jamaican history. After 10 years, the community afforded itself several trucks and cars. Non-Rastafarians were now paid to carry water from the very distant valley to the heights of the Pinnacle, and local residents could now sell their produce at the Pinnacle market and not have to journey to Spanish Town. A shop was built with Pinnacle money for Pinnacle people. Pinnacle was now an important hub of commerce. They no longer struggled trying to grow vegetables and instead focused all their efforts on the forest of ganja that rose around them. The indentured Indian laborers had brought the herb to the island, and many of Rastafari's practices are inspired by Howell's admiration of that community. Even the term Collie-bud originates from Cali-bud, which was the best bud of the plant, which was donated to the goddess Kali.
Finally the earth come around. The high grade when me a look for me get it by the pound, yeah. When Calibud come around, I hear ganja man tune just a lick from the sound, yeah.
The Indian chant Jai before the names of their gods also inspired Howell. Using the word Jah from the Bible, he coined Jah Rastafari, much like the Indians did in saying Jai Kali, Jai Shiva. Despite popular opinion, the first Rastas did not wear locks. On the contrary, they grew their hair and their beards and combed them neatly, much in the image of His Majesty.
Rasta, that's real Rasta, man. So, when people believe say the hair is not the ear, the in concept of a barn you, because you can grow the ear and see they not have it. It's the in concept of a barn you. Yeah, they grow enough ear and comb the beard, but them comb it. Call it up sweet. So them call it here, up sweet.
So there weren't any dreadlocks up there initially?
No, they don't. Like how these men, one, no fear do you know, and tall beard. Until we know we much more. Man needs to tell them to take it off now. That part of work over. So when them see we know them can't know we laugh them.
Also, Rastafari did not drum and chant in the manner in which the world has become accustomed to. That came much later, after the demise of Pinnacle.